Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about the wind out here, but this is Livingston, Montana, and there ain't much I can do about that. Now, what this video file is exactly about is raising grass in high altitudes and harsh weather terrains or harsh weather environments. And this is just to offer you some tips. This doesn't apply to everybody across the United States or the world, but after 10 years of fighting with this property right here, I definitely know what I'm talking about. Okay, right off the get-go, you see my garden tractor right here? This right here lowers and raises the deck, okay? What you want to do in order to build strong ruts is never cut your grass lower than about 5 inches, 5 to 4 inches. Because this scale goes 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 like that, okay? Right off the get-go, unless you're scalping your lawn or you're going to take it down real low because you're going to reseed or whatever have you, and I'm going to get into that. Now back here, this gizmo that you see back here is just nothing more than a tiner. And I've got a great big railroad tie on top of it to give it a little weight, because every year, several times through the year, I'll scratch my yard or I'll tine it. And what that does is it aerates and it also helps bed the seed when I reseed. Okay? Now, getting to talk about fertilizers and stuff like that. You ain't never going to have a good lawn. You are never going to have a good lawn until you get off of chemicals. Until you stop using stuff like weed and feed. You can go down to Home Depot or Lowe's or wherever have you and see a whole warehouse full of nothing but chemicals. I'm going to tell you what, them chemicals will get down in your yard and kill things like microbes. Oh sure, they'll get rid of weeds and dandelions and stuff like that, but it's also killing your grass. Everything that I'm talking about in this video is organic. Get that one word in your head, organic. You may see some black spots around me here. You know what that is? It's steer manure mix. Now, let me talk about this for just a second. I buy this stuff right here. You get it for $2.15 a sack. I don't know if you can see this or not, but it's steer manure blend. And a lot of people go, well, that ain't going to do nothing but put weed seed in your yard. I got news for you. Up in this country, when the wind blows 50, 60 miles an hour, we get weed seed up here all the time. And I know, I'm a native Montanan, and I know one of the best things that you can put on your yard is cow dung. As stupid as that might sound. If you've got a local stockyard near you or a ranch or something, go out there and load up and just throw that stuff all over your yard, plain and simple. Because like I say, I couldn't reiterate this enough. All this weed and feed stuff and all this stuff, I don't want to mention companies, but there's one that begins with an S that'll sell you all the chemicals you want, and they're no good because they kill certain nutrients and microbes and stuff like that that your grass needs. Okay, right off the get-go. There's another thing I want to talk about, and that's seed. This is some of the best seed you can get. Not necessarily this Vigoro name, but look at what I'm talking about here. Tall Fescue. However that's spelled. F-E-S-C-U-E, like rescue, only Fescue. Fescue. It's a kind of a thick-stalked grass. It's kind of a stubby type of grass, but this grass seed is very, very important because it is very strong. It builds a big root mass underneath. It isn't the nicest looking stuff on the face of this planet, but this is what I definitely recommend, Tall Fescue, when it comes to grass. I don't care what name brand you get or whatever have you. Because up here in Livingston, up here in Montana, there's certain grasses that just won't grow. It's that simple. After 10 years of fighting with this yard, I know what I'm talking about. Okay, Now this wheelbarrow that you see here, here's a real simple thing to do. You can take each one of these bags of steer manure weighs 40 pounds, okay? 5 of those is 200 pounds. And that's what'll fit in this wheelbarrow right here. You can take and put 5 bags of this, 200 pounds of this steer manure mixture, it's not pure steer manure by the way, to 1 pound of grass. This is a 3-pound grass seed. And you can mix it all up and you can kind of fertilize and fix all your bad spots all at the same time. Just mix it up with your shovel right there in the wheelbarrow. And go around and you find your bad spots, you know, toss out some of that steer manure mix and some of this fescue grass and you got her made. Okay. And when it comes, okay, there's all kinds of outfits out like True Green and all these people running around promising that they're going to give you a painted green yard. I shouldn't say that, but that's kind of reminds me or whatever have you. But you see these people running around with all these tanks of chemicals and stuff like that. Look, some of this stuff is okay, but if it isn't organic, don't put it on your yard. Because the more chemicals that you dump on your yard, the more grass that you're killing. What you want to do is promote your grass growth and the root mass underneath so that the weeds have a heck of a time competing with the grass growth. Are you hearing me? This stuff right here, and I'm not promoting any of these companies, but this is pure organic nitrogen is basically what this is. You hook it up to your garden hose and this will cover 6,000 square feet. I happen to have 8,000 square foot lawn. I've got a great big huge lawn up here, but these are the things that a kid wants to know. Or the things that you should be aware of anyway. But like I say, the only way that your grass is gonna survive in these harsh environments and stuff like that is you gotta get away from them chemicals. You gotta get on organics. And like I say, that steer manure that I stuck in your face right there, that Earth Grow, is probably some of the best I found. It does have a few rocks in it. It does have a little bit of wood, the humus in it, and it's also got a lot of topsoil. Because you've only got a few other options, and that's if your lawn is really, really super bad, I mean to the point where you can't repair it, you may have to rip up all your sod and put in new sod per se, or overseed. Every year I put at least 3 to 5 pounds of brand new seed on this lawn because that's how much winter damage that we get up here due to white-tailed deer, snowshoe hare rabbits, windburn, snowburn, you name it. So I just thought I'd throw out these tips. After 10 years of fighting this property, this is something I know something about. And this yard of mine is looking pretty good. The only thing I haven't put on is the liquid fertilizer. So, and a lot of people, they're worried about what their lawn looks like on top, but what you got to start thinking about is that root mass underneath. And that's why I recommend that fescue grass, tall fescue, because it makes the root, it makes really long roots underneath there and it intertwines with all your other grass and stuff like that. Now, if you don't live in a harsh environment like what we got up here in these mountains and stuff like that, you might want to look at a grass mixture of Bermuda grass and stuff like that. But these are just a few of the tips that I thought I'd share with you, and I don't know what else more I could say, but I couldn't reiterate enough about this business of getting off of these chemicals, this weed and feed and weed be gone and all that kind of stuff, because you're actually killing your grass. You got to get your grass on an organic diet. Don't cut your grass too short. Use as much organics as you can. Use that seed I just talked to you about, and watering. That's another thing. I don't care if you water every 2 days, every 3 days, or whatever, but try to keep your grass on a steady watering schedule. Okay, you follow me? Okay, let me grab up this camera. Kind of windy up here and kind of show you around, but there's my little setup right there, my little tiner. That little garden tractor right there has saved my rear end many, many times, let me tell you. If it wouldn't be for that, I wouldn't have nothing up here. But this is what my yard looks like, and all these spots that you see around here, those are repair spots. That's just how much damage that I get on this property. And I use that cow manure, that fescue grass, and all this repairing. You got to keep up with it, because what you want to do is promote your grass. The more grass that you can promote, the harder it is for the weeds to grow. You see what I'm getting at? You got to reverse your thinking around. Instead of worrying about every little dandelion that pops up, you need to concentrate on promoting your grass, because what happens is the grass will compete with the weeds, but the more grass that you got growing well, the less weeds you'll have. You got to flip your thinking around. And that's all there is to it. And like I say, cutting your grass real short and all that kind of stuff is a mistake, so. Doggone wind, it would have had to been blowing out here real hard, but that's basically the end of this file here. I can see I'm almost up on 12 minutes, but I thought, after 3 or 4 days of fighting with my yard here, I'd make a video. And like I say, you don't have to believe a damn word I've said. But if you've gotten tired of wondering how to do this in a harsh environment, I just gave you a whole bunch of tips. Okay. This is just an amendment I sent to the last video I made. I'm real sorry about the wind and everything, but we put up, that's what it does in Livingston, Montana. It blows all the time, as a matter of fact. But there's one thing I didn't stress in my other file about growing grass. When you're working with your soil, it's called amending to the soil. Now, I jabbered about, the chemical additives, staying away from them and stuff like that. But there's one other thing that a person can do that I feel that needs to be emphasized, and that's using topsoil. Really good quality topsoil. And I'm not talking about this stuff made by Miracle-Gro or any of that. Just a lot of these nurseries have it. Up here, I happen to know a guy that'll get you a load in here. I don't know how many cubic yards, but the truck that he's running he charges $200 for a load of topsoil, and that's a good way. If you don't like the idea of manure and like that, and the reason why I mentioned manure before, because it's high in nitrogen, but sometimes putting anywhere from, say, 3 to 6 layers of topsoil on top of a lawn that's been scalloped is another way to amend to the soil, because good topsoil has most of the nutrients in it that grass needs, because there's no such a thing as fix a lawn that comes in a box or in a bunch of granulated chemicals and stuff like that, because that stuff is just plain no good. But there is one other thing that a person can do if you're having an extremely large amount of problems. Have soil analysis run. Have somebody that knows what they're doing when it comes to soil, and have your soil tested to see where the pH, that's a probability of hydrogen, you see where your pH level's in and what you're short on. Your yard might need a little extra iron in it. It might need some phosphate and stuff like that. But the problem is, with these bagged up granulated chemicals, they usually have too much of this and too much of that and every other thing. And so you're putting a bunch of stuff on your yard you don't need. Plain and simple. That's why I'm totally a firm believer in things like steer manure, cow manure, and stuff like this. But I just thought I'd mention about topsoil. It's always a good idea to get as much topsoil on your existing grass, or your, where your grass is growing like that, as you possibly can. Because believe you me, a yard this size right here, an 8,000 square foot yard, if I was to have to rip up all this sod here and put new sod in here and start all over again, this would cost me a fortune. So, and that's another thing I want to stress real quick like. Sometimes you can take a really piss poor lawn. I mean, it might even look like it's beyond hope. You don't get this stuff fixed overnight. It might take 5 or 6 years for you to amend that soil and replant and overseed and stuff like this to get your lawn looking good. You follow what I'm saying? So whatever you do, don't, if you do something one year and it doesn't look real good, don't worry about it. Just, get on the right track, get off of these stupid chemicals, keep amending your soil with organics and stuff like that. 4, 5, 6 years down the road, your lawn will start coming around. So I just thought I'd add that, because the wind died down out here, and I need to wash off this tractor for one thing, so I just thought I'd throw up another short, quick video adding that. Thank you very much for watching, and have a nice day.